Hello everybody and welcome to episode 6 of Allthemoddium to the Sky. I hope everyone's had a lovely Christmas and a lovely New Year. This upload is going to be a little bit late, if you can't already tell, because over Christmas, the Christmas holiday, I was really busy. I was constantly doing things and didn't have a chance to actually sit down and do any recording, so here I am. But anyway, this is just a recap on what I've done. I built this induction casing last episode. This thing can store now 1.6 trillion RF. A lot of RF. Very nice. I also built these 3 fusion reactors and checked out our chemistry. This mod is amazing. This is how we actually produced the lithium for the mechanism induction cells. In today's episode though, I would like to check out a new mod which I haven't actually done, which is Forbidden Arcanus. I've never played with this mod before, and we're going to need it to actually make the Allthemoddium star. So I've started doing some of the quests. We need this Mundabitur Dust. To make the Mundabitur Dust though, you need phantom membranes, and there's 2 ways to make them. The first way is to wait for them to spawn, and then kill the phantoms. They spawn after 3 days of you not sleeping, and then you can fly up and kill them. But that one's going to take a little bit of time. And I tried building a mob spawner to see if they spawn naturally, and they don't. So the thing which I decided to do was to make a fusion reactor from the alchemistry mod. I was going to use hostile neural networks in the beginning, but that also still needs them to spawn. And I need to kill 6 of them for the data model. So, alchemistry mod to the rescue. The fusion reactor is built the same way as the fission reactor for alchemistry, except there are 2 key differences. The first one is you need a fusion reactor controller, and the cores, instead of being fission cores, are now fusion cores. 1 fusion reactor completely assembled. Right, I think we're finally ready to try and craft up some of these phantom membranes. Well, that thing took far too long to actually get the phantom membrane, but we have it now, and we can now craft Mundabitur Dust, whatever that is, completely passively, and we can craft much as we want, and the phantom membrane is basically coming from copper. Good stuff. We can now continue with the quests. Next quest is Arcane Gold. Alright, 10 Arcane Gold. The next quest, I'm going to need to craft up some darkstone, and to do so I'm going to use this Igneous extruder, which was the first one which we set up specifically for doing small crafts like this. Next quest. Next we need to make this Hephaestus Forge. I'm sure that I'm pronouncing that incorrect. That definitely feels like I'm pronouncing that incorrect. That's a good name. At least the materials for this are pretty easy to make. Okay, that's all of the materials to actually make this. Should we expand the base so that we actually have a decent room for this? There you go, lovely little room. Now it's time to build this Hephaestus Forge. 1 room, nicely assembled. This is going to house all of the Forbidden Arcanus machines. Let's start with the Hephaestus Forge. Yeah, still having fun pronouncing that. I don't think that chunk boundaries actually matter when building this, but I am going to make it so that it's in the center of a chunk. Oh, I love it when you run out of things, and it's a perfect match. And by the looks of it, we need to click the Mundabitur Dust on this for it to actually form. Hephaestus Forge completely assembled. And like I've said before, this is the first time using this mod, so let's find out how we actually power this. By the looks of it, to actually power this, There are 4 items to actually power it. The Aureal, Souls, Blood, and Experience. Thank you for the quest for actually pointing that out. So we're going to need to make a soul extractor. But to be able to make the jar for the soul extractor, we need something called Edelwood. And to get the Edelwood saplings, I'm going to have to purchase them from something called the market from Farming for Blockheads. This will allow us to purchase any of the saplings. According to the patch notes, very old patch notes, growing Eldwood, we can buy these. I actually get to grow one of these trees. Interesting, they have no leaves. Plenty of Edelwood. I'm pronouncing that wrong also. This is going to be a soul extractor. We then use the soul extractor on some soul sand. Soulless sand. Alright. And 20 souls later, we have plenty of souls now. These are going to be really useful for fueling the Hephaestus Forge. With the Edelwood which we collected, I can also make one of these mystical daggers. This will now allow us to be able to collect our blood when we kill mobs with the dagger. And where's an infinite source of mobs? I have this. Yeah, this is the mob bomb which I made earlier in the episode. It's actually going to come in useful now. Yeah, it's one test tube full of blood and the other one is partially full. That's another fuel for the Hephaestus Forge. The next fuel which we need is going to require potions of regeneration. And I'm going to be setting this up to autocraft. The regeneration potions in question are going to be crafted using the alchemical brewer from thermal expansion. And thanks to Applied Energistics deciding to have fluid crafting native, there's no second mod for it now, I should be able to now craft potions of regeneration using the fluids. And after adding more channels to this network, it is finally crafting. We can now auto-craft potions. Any type of potion now means that if I request 4 of these, it will use the potion of regeneration. Lovely. It's amazing when this type of automation works. Although I have discovered that I am going to need to add some fluid storage cells. Since the regular storage cells will not actually store fluids, you need to have specific ones. That's the 3rd fuel for this, the Hephaestus Forge. And we can also craft up the Botso chanting in the fluid encapsulator from thermal. Good. That's all 4 fuels for this. Botso chanting, Aurelia bottles, some souls, and blood. I'm not going to actually be crafting anything with this just yet, since we don't actually need it until a lot later, I think. So for now, I'd like to try and progress to get this dragon soul, since this is going to be required for the All the Mods star. Okay, so the next thing which we need to craft is dragon scales, which means we need to kill the Ender Dragon, which is going to be fun. But to actually make it to the end, we need to craft something called an end cake. It's the only way to get to the end in this. When it's placed on the ground, you just need to right click and eat it. And it will teleport you to the end. Actually prepared this time. I have arrows for my crossbow and plenty of food. I will firstly begin by taking out the end crystals. Quite easy when you've got basically creative flight. Oh yeah, free the end. And I got another axe from that. I'll also grab the dragon egg while I'm here. So we didn't get a dragon head from that. I know where to get dragon eggs or dragon heads from, and that is going to require going in one of these end gateways. We need to find one of them floating ships in the end. That will have a dragon head on the front of the ship. It's going to take a little bit of exploring to find one. Ah, finally found one. Yep, there is a dragon head on top of here. Plus, I'll also grab this elytra while we're here. On a side note, you can also find dragon scales inside of chests in the end city. Obtaining these, though, will now mean that we can craft the golden and aquatic dragon scales. One aquatic and one golden. I love the texture of this aquatic dragon scale. This one looks by far the best. You can now craft up an arcane dragon egg. One arcane dragon egg. I'm going to need a couple more things to get this. I still need an empty soul gem from occultism. Dragonstone, we can get that from Botania. And the dragon's breath, I need to go and defeat another ender dragon, or at least summon one to get the dragon's breath. Dragonstone is really easy to make. It's just 1 mana diamond for every dragonstone in the Elven Gateway. To resummon the End Dragon, all you need to do is place these end crystals around the end portal which spawns in the center of this island. It's going to reignite all of the crystals around me on all of these pillars, and then the End Dragon will spawn up there. Why is that Enderman's got a backpack on a jukebox backpack? There you go. Dragon breath. Then the last couple of things to make this is the piglet chart and the empty souls. So we're going to have to do a little bit of occultism, which is another mod which I have done nothing with. Let's have a look at the piglet chart, because that's going to require us to have Allthemoddium. So the first place which we need to go to get that is going to be the Twilight Forest. And to get to the Twilight Forest, you first need 8 flowers. You can use 12, but 8 is the minimum. I'm going to be using 12 just as it looks nice. It's a ring of flowers built exactly like this. You next need to fill the portal up with water. It has to be water source blocks, not flowing water. Then throw a diamond in here. That will light the portal to the Twilight Forest. Time to hop in. We'll go in here in style. Okay, so what I was going to do here is to go to one of the hollow hills in the Twilight Forest to find Allthemoddium. That's where it spawns naturally, except there isn't really a good way to actually find for it, and since miners can't mine it, it has to be a player-only mine. It resulted in quite a difficulty finding it, so instead of doing this, I decided to do something else, and this is what I came up with. Okay, you know what? I have a better way to get Allthemoddium, and all of the others actually. It will save me having to explore things, but we are going to have to take a look into industrial foregoing. More specifically, I need all laser bases, and then the laser drills. So we're going to have to get into quite deeply into industrial foregoing actually. So without further ado, let's begin industrial foregoing. The first machine which I'm going to need to make is fluid extractors. These will produce latex at a pretty slow rate, but can be sped up in the future, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Giving the fluid extractors power can also increase the speed slightly, so that's exactly what I've done. Latex can then be extracted with basically any fluid pipe. For me, I'm going to be using these mechanical pipes. Then all I want is this to be sent into this tank as a little bit of a buffer. So I've added this to the ME system with a storage bus. This just means that the ME system can see that there's latex in here. I'll then set this interface to keep in stock, hopefully water. And I'll also set this to 1 bucket of latex. Then I want this to run with the redstone signal, since I'm going to be controlling this with a level emitter. So I'm going to say this emit when levels are above or equal to limit. So when this tank gets over 8 buckets of latex, the latex processing unit will turn on and actually allow to process it. I'm only setting this up now because some of these recipes do require raw latex, not in solid form. So this will just keep it so that the ME system always has access to liquid latex. And then just going to have this simply extract from the latex processing unit into this storage drawer, and the ME system will have full access to this. This is now the entire automation for producing rubber and latex, all things which we're going to be using for industrial foregoing. I also spent the time to craft up one of these acceleration wands. This just means that I can speed things up by holding right click. Now I can craft up one of these dissolution chambers. This is pretty easy to craft now that we have rubber. The first thing which I'm going to use this for is crafting some speed upgrades, because we're going to need a lot of latex for all of these IR machines. So how much does that speed these up by? Okay, and I'm guessing we just want to do this straight away to the tier 2s. It should produce a fair amount of latex now. And the next machine I'm going to need to set up is a mob slaughter factory. This is required to produce pink slime. Pink slime is required to make these advanced machine frames. It's a byproduct of the mob slaughter factory. This is going to be the room where we're going to spawn the mobs for this mob slaughter factory. And after a lot of time being spent trying to build this, I actually added an AND gate to the mob slaughter factory so that it turns it on and off, but only if meat and pink slime are both above 100 buckets. If one of them gets above 100 buckets and the other one isn't, it will still run until they're both there. That's what this very primitive AND gate does. The base of this is also filled with cursed earth so that mobs can actually spawn in there while I'm nearby. And with all of that being said and done, it's now time to turn this on. Might be difficult to see, but there is mobs in there. They'll spawn and then they'll be killed by this mob slaughter factory. And this is how we get pink slime. More importantly, this is how we get Ender's pink slime, and we also get meat as a byproduct. And since we get meat as a byproduct, I'm also going to pick up one of these meat feeders. This basically acts as an internal bucket, so you can fill this up using the applied energistic system. And while it's equipped, it will just keep my player fed, and I don't need to eat food ever again. Yep, as long as I have the meat feeder in one of my bobble slots, it will keep the food completely full. And now that I have all of this pink slime, I should be able to craft up one of these laser drills. The first one of these laser drills is going to live in the Twilight Forest. This will produce us Allthemoddium with yellow lenses. There we go. That's the output of the laser drill after a lot of figuring out. This just needs to output straight into the laser base. And 3 more laser drills later, this is now running at max production. I've also thrown in speed upgrade tier 2s in all of them to also give them even more speed. The second one of these ore lasers has been built in the end. It needs to be in an end highlands for it to start producing Vibranium for us. Unobtainium, not Vibranium. Oh yeah, just like that. Raw Unobtainium. I guess there isn't many things which the purple lens will actually give, in the end at least. There you go, this is just a simple way to sort them. I just have this logistical source set up to only filter Allthemoddium, Unobtainium, and Vibranium. They will be sent into this chest. Anything else will just be voided because, I mean, it's a minuscule amount. For the purpose of today, that will be good enough. Okay, so I've got Allthemoddium now from that laser drill. I had to move it into an oak savanna in the Twilight Forest because it was in the wrong biome. And with the Allthemoddium, I've just crafted up a teleport pad so that we can get to the other. This will give us access to Vibranium. And to get to the other, we need to go to the nether. In the nether, I can place one of these teleport pads. Holding shift right click on it will teleport me now. And we are now in the other. And the last laser drill is set up. This thing is now producing Vibranium, which means we have all three of the Allthemod ores. Vibranium, Allthemoddium, and Unobtainium. And we also needed to come here because we needed to get piglet charts. To get the piglet charts, we need to find a certain structure in this dimension, which I'm going to go looking for now. While I was exploring, I also discovered, well, remembered, that there is something called a dungeon compass, a structures compass. This will locate any structure which you want, and in this case I need to locate the Otherworld pyramid. This is where piglitches spawn. If anyone is playing along and having trouble finding any of these ancient pyramids, I'd suggest that you make one of these. It will speed up the process. It will speed up the process of finding one of these ancient pyramids. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm going to pick up one of these piglitches with a mob imprisonment tool so that I can bring it back to the base. Okay, well, I'm going to be saving this mob imprisonment tool with the piglet in it until the next episode, because I'm going to have to get into Ars Nouveau to actually start getting piglet hearts at a renewable rate, I believe. So I'm going to end the episode here. Stay tuned for the next one, because I will be doing Ars Nouveau and occultism. I hope everyone has enjoyed today as much as I've enjoyed playing. I'm loving the way the base is, and I hope to see you all again some other time.